So today we live in a very cynical world. It is very mainstream to be cynical. It is very, I guess I would say it's even popular to be cynical, right? So you go onto YouTube videos. The YouTube videos themselves are, highlighting what people are doing wrong. Trump, Elon Musk, etc., etc. And then in the comments, people are, essentially just echoing their statements, echoing their frustrations, their anger, all their negative emotions. They're just displaying it. And then people are upvoting those comments where, either they're funny or relatable. And I also see a lot of comments that are like, why isn't the government doing anything? Which, I would also like to live in a world where our government is, not run by billionaires. But that's not currently the reality we live in. And I prefer to live in a world, I prefer to have a viewpoint that is aligned with the real world. Not a fantasy. Which is not to say that I like it, but having this vision allows me to, take the steps that are necessary towards a better life for me and hopefully for people around me. Okay, so the frustrations are understandable. I have those same frustrations. The problem here is that usually what people do is they kind of just sit on these feelings, right? So even if they're expressed, even if, things like Luigi Mangioni's assassination come out and kind of offer us a temporary catharsis, it still doesn't really get things moving. It's a band-aid over the wound, And I could tell, or at least for me, I felt like after that happened, there was a lot of this desire to start moving things in the right direction, but not really knowing what to do. Besides, basically make my YouTube videos, which right now has a very limited impact because there's not a lot of people watching it. So, and this is part of why I'm broke. Don't get me wrong. It's not like all you people, naughty, being so cynical. No, it's a problem for me as well because I grew up, diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and I think cynicism is kind of like a prerequisite for that, basically. So even though I've been working on improving my viewpoint over the past years, the echoes of it are still making things difficult for me to actually get things moving forward. But anyway, enough preamble. The point is that you need to, okay, sorry, not those words, not you need to. What I am trying to do is start looking at these problems as, for what they are, problems, but also with the viewpoint of how can I help create a solution towards this? Because, and I'm guilty of this as well. I think a lot of people probably, they don't really do anything because they don't feel like they have the power or prerequisites or money to do anything. And there are a lot of ways around this, like in real estate, they call it creative financing. And creative financing is just a fancy word for how do I get, people, or how do I make this work when I don't actually have the money? Which sounds like a fantasy, but in reality, it's perfectly possible, if you have the right values, if you speak to the right people, if you make a good impression, if you do things right, you can actually do things without, getting the money. The problem is that, I think a lot of people are a little bit too focused on money. I kind of tend to be that my way. That's I tend to be that way myself sometimes. And when you come at it from an angle of how do I make money rather than how do I help others, it becomes this whole fucking game of people trying to basically figure out who's authentic and who isn't, because obviously the people that you want to work with are the people who have really solid values, not the people who are interested in it for the money, because at the end of the day, those are the people that will screw you over if it means that they will get more money out of it. So I think that's why, there's so many hoops and ladders to go through, and why people have a harder time doing it. But it's still possible. I think it is still possible. So me, for example, I am currently looking into real estate with the goal of looking into office buildings and how to help, or how to lower the prices so that they can more easily be converted to apartment buildings. And the goal behind that is to make more housing available, because there's a homelessness crisis. And I don't have any background in real estate or architecture or anything like that, but I think people also tend to think that they're very underqualified, that they're just not good enough in whatever aspect to, tackle these huge issues. When in reality, I think that there isn't much difference between the people who actually get these problems solved versus the people who the people who don't. Sure, for really cutting edge stuff and technology, you're going to need expertise in a subject, but otherwise it's just it's basically people who are, they know that they don't have the skills, but then they just go out and they just keep trying. God, that sounded really dumb. I'm sorry. But the whole point is or at least for me, is like I probably don't need to know as much as I think I need to know. I probably do not need to be as qualified as I think I do. Like this is kind of like what happens in job listings, right? People who are underqualified get jobs because they apply, and even though they're not qualified, they still get the job because like the job listing was looking for the ideal candidate, but maybe there wasn't an ideal candidate, so you were the next best choice. So I think like that's basically what the world needs, and that's why I want to do this, is basically to show that like even a broke ass girl like me can help solve problems like this. And you don't need official schooling, you don't need formal education. There are so many resources on the internet right now. And like the whole crux of this, why cynicism is keeping you poor, is because all these videos out there that are, giving these problems, people look at them and they're just like, oh God, what a tragedy. The world is going to shit. When you could be looking at those problems and say, okay, this is a problem. What can I break down from this problem, and what is a solution that I can create for it? Because one, people pay for solutions, which is of course great. Money makes the world go round. You've got to have money to live, etc, etc. But you're also, helping to contribute to a better world by providing these solutions. And I think what really inspired this most of all is the recent lawsuit of Cards Against Humanity against SpaceX. And what I found out that was really fascinating is that apparently the company of Cards Against Humanity had purchased land in Texas in defiance of Trump's wall border. So I think that is a very interesting and innovative solution. So, the people at Cards Against Humanity could have been like, well, he's the fucking president, what are we going to do? But instead they were like, okay, what can we do with what we have? And they had the money, and they purchased land in Texas to basically impede the wall border. And obviously that this is a solution that required money. But a lot of solutions do require that you don't have much money to work with. That's how innovation happens, right? It's people looking to make things possible without having access to the capital for the current solutions. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking into office buildings and getting them converted into living spaces. And I will maybe keep you posted on that. I don't know. I mean, I'm still like a very, scatterbrained person, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it a whirl, see what happens. So yeah, I think that's all. Take care.